Were you under the impression that Frankenstein's monster couldn't speak? Did you think the monster's name was Frankenstein? Well, you're not alone in these misconceptions, and it's not your fault. You've been misled by Hollywood. Can you imagine? In November of this year, master of the macabre Guillermo del Toro blessed us with a feature-length adaptation of Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus. In my opinion, I think the screenplay is one of the most successful and, dare I say, best adaptations of the book, which has been adapted to screen over 100 times by now. Some of you, I found, were very surprised to see Jacob Elordi's take on the creature, who names himself Adam in the source text, by the way, speak quite eloquently by film's end. So how then do we go from Jacob Elordi's eloquent, long, lithe portrayal of the creature to Boris Karloff's lumbering, brutish thing of very few words? Well, to answer that question, we have to look not to the screen, not to the page, but to the theater. It always comes back to the theater. There are two stage adaptations that have been pivotal in reshaping the cultural legacy of Frankenstein, the first of which was written in 1823, just 5 years after the book was first published. This would be the only adaptation that Mary Shelley could see in her lifetime. This play, Presumption, or The Fate of Frankenstein, was a play in 3 acts written by one Richard Brinsley Peake for the English Opera House. Now, theater at this point in England's history was in a bit of a weird place. Basically, in the early 1600s, a very Protestant parliament banned all forms of theater in England. After the Reformation of 1660, though, that was overturned, but with some very specific criteria. The Théâtre Royal decree made it so that only royal theaters could get patents to put on stage plays, which today we would just call a regular play. You know, straight acting, no non-diegetic music, that sort of thing. In order for any other theater in the country to put on a play of any sort, it had to include some sort of spectacle performance. This included melodrama, puppet theater, pantomime, musical entertainment, or burlesque, which at that time meant a sort of farcical comedy that usually poked fun at society and the members of high society. So knowing that Frankenstein, this infamous horror novel, was unlikely to get a royal patent, Peake set out to write his adaptation with some spectacle in it. Eager to not dilute the plot too much with humor, Peake wrote in some examples of pantomime. Now, pantomime, just for context, was heavily influenced by La Commedia dell'arte. Commedia dell'arte was very informed by Greek theater. Stay with me. Pantomimes were performed in public for the common folk in huge theaters, obviously before microphones or any type of mechanical amplification was available. So the actors would often perform without any dialogue whatsoever, over-exaggerating their movements, telling the story through gestures, and there would often be a band or a chorus telling the story or providing mood alongside the actors. A chorus? Yes. A Greek chorus? No, an English chorus. So in the tradition of silent pantomime, and yes, pantomime is where the modern tradition of mime comes from, Peake is the first person to write Victor Frankenstein's creation as completely mute. This play is also the origin of the character Igor, though in Peake's play, the character is named Fritz. Fritz, future Igor, would be the source of inserting any type of comedy that they needed to make this play able to be put on. The next pivotal play would be written about 100 years later.